The Enugu State Government has signed a landmark Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) with Lion Business Park Limited to establish a world-class industrial and commercial hub within the Enugu Industrial Park Free Trade Zone, a strategic step aimed at boosting the state's GDP from $4.4 billion to $30 billion. Governor Peter Mbah, speaking at a brief event on Tuesday at the Government House in Enugu, announced that the project would leverage the incentives of operating within a free trade zone to attract foreign direct investments. He added that the initiative would promote human capital development, stimulate innovation and technological advancement, and create employment opportunities, contributing to shared economic prosperity for Enugu State, the Southeast region, and Nigeria as a whole. And standing by right here in the studio to have a conversation on the subject matter, highlighting the benefits of Enugu State Industrial Park, is Enugu State's Honorable Commissioner for Lands and Urban Development, Barrister Chimobi Patrick Okorie. Legal, nice to have you.
Thank you very much, Ngozi.
Good evening, sir.
Hi,
And I don't know if congratulations is in order that Enugu State has signed a deal to make happen Enugu State Industrial Park. And if that be the case, what is it all about? We know about amusement parks and the lots. Why industrial? What's that about to start with?
Thank you so much, Ngozi, and good evening, viewers. The concept of the industrial park, is the icing on the cake, if you like, in the journey set forth by His Excellency, Dr. Peter Mbah, the Governor of Enugu State, to move the economy of Enugu State from the baseline of $4.4 billion US, which he met it, to a $30 billion economy. Of course, the twin to that is to make Enugu the destination of choice for investments and for living. So that will then explain why the industrial park. The industrial park is an all-in-one shop that is designed with the world-class benefits of a free trade zone, of an international customs area. And of course, it would interest you to know that it also has provision for residences. What it means is that as a free trade zone, like we know it globally, it means that businesses there are immune from taxes and other duties. They are duty free. So that already gives investors the advantage. Typically, like when you are at international airports and you say you're shopping at duty-free areas, it means you're not going to pay duty on those goods. Then again, when we talk of the fact that it's an international custom area, it means that it is actually a destination for shipment. So for our investors, for potential investors within the Southeast and beyond, it means that you can actually ship your container, for instance, from Asia, from Europe, from America, from wherever, and your destination would be Lion Business Park. And nobody's going to open it until it lands there. It's going to be opened there. So technically, it's like a dry port. What it means is that that is a custom area. So you're not going to have to open your container, for instance, at any other distant place and then begin to ship your goods. It means that's where you ship your goods. And then the other advantage, of course, is what His Excellency Dr. Peter Mbah already, I don't know, I'm sure you followed his conversation at the Commonwealth Summit in the UK, 2-3 weeks ago, where he adumbrated the need to actualize the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. So that again tells you that we are keen into this as an invitation to the world to behold Enugu. And Enugu is set for investment. This park sits on 2,000 hectares of tableland.
And I'm going to utilize this opportunity to ask you, where would it be located in Enugu?
It is located. It is not would be located.
Okay.
it's in existence already, as a matter of fact. It is at a location that is just about 15, 20, 30 minutes drive from the international airport.
Okay.
Yes.
So I have to believe that it is within the metropolis.
Yes.
Okay, because I was going to wonder how the hectares of land you just mentioned, where we can have
access
that
to
without
that.
displacing people.
Like I said, it's already in existence. It's a built up. It's already, the infrastructure is already there. Even though His Excellency, the governor, has already committed to even more robust infrastructure build out within the area. I have visited there personally, and I invite interested investors to visit. Some of the infrastructure is already ongoing. Some investors are already building out. There's already subscription going on there.
That's interesting.
Absolutely. So it is just after 9 Mile, which is in itself a business hub. So it is strategically located at a place that His Excellency, the governor, has already declared as the industrial hub of the state. So it's an industrial corridor that we have that is also probably about 30 minutes to Onitsha.
Okay.
That way, it's probably about, like I said, 20 minutes to the international airport. And it's probably about, 3 hours to the Onitsha seaport. So it's a vantage location that we believe also enhances, its attractiveness to investors. In addition to all these other issues I've mentioned about the free trade, about the international customs destination, and of course, our commitment to ease of doing business in Enugu State.
Okay, you had mentioned that there's a space for living, if I'm correct, where people could actually stay. What other infrastructural development has been put in place to support these particular operations concerning the park?
In addition to the ones mentioned already, His Excellency has directed that we immediately begin to scope roads,
Leading
additional
to the
roads,
place.
yes, and the internal roads as well. He has also instructed that we begin to enhance the power supply in the location so that it can be optimized. There is power there are infrastructure, but we need to do more. You know that His Excellency is committed to excellence. So when he says all roads should be paved, he means all roads.
Will be paved.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm wondering why the partnership with Lion Business Park, why the choice of that particular enterprise to organization with Enugu State? Is there a particular reason the Enugu State is partnering with them?
Yes, because it keys into the agenda of the state government. It keys into the vision of His Excellency, the governor. So when he's already talking of making Enugu the destination of choice, and he identifies potentials in this kind of park, business park, it's actually one in 1,000, if I may say. I think for now it is about the only free trade zone in the southeastern Nigeria. So it is something that a responsible government like we have currently in Enugu would easily be happy to partner with and enhance for the benefit of the Enugu and beyond.
All right, let's look at the scale park gap. Right now, we are looking into the benefits of this park, and we're taking them one after the other. I know that you mentioned some, but we'll also look at some that you did not mention. Will this in some way address the skill gap? I mean, if some things require special skills and they are to, to be here in the industrial park, which is located in Enugu State, will that address the skill gap among the workforce, Nigerian workforce?
Precisely, yeah, because if you look at the way it is structured, it's an international destination. So what it means is that it's nothing less than best practice. Now, recall that once you declare an area of a free trade area, free of duties, what it means is that naturally you are attracting the best. You know, and a typical investor would rather not pay more. Yes. So it already tells him that you can come here and you're free of duties. It also means that for the buyers, for the customers, they are also sure that they may just get it, you know, a naira or two less than the typical market price. But when you knock off duty, the ultimate benefit is to the consumers. Now, that also goes into the skill area that you mentioned. Because what it means is that they are better able to actually engage the best hands. Because it is recognized as an international location, it means that you are able to easily work out issues of expatriate quotas and, you know, international staff. It means that your best hands are able to be there. It means that these international brands and international organizations are able to come in there and build offices, build factories, build malls, and operate there. So it also means that the typical brands, you know, in the various areas, be it brands in terms of fabrics, be it designers, be it brands in terms of technology, ICT tools and equipment, are able to come in there and set up businesses.
Now, with what you're saying is going to address local employment, it's going to facilitate economic growth. I think that's the intention. But are there specific sectors that this will address? For instance, we understand the textile stuff going on in Abia State, and even the shoemaking. This particular hub, is it going to be jack of all trades?
Like I said, it is really a one-stop shop. So
for virtually everything.
Absolutely. When you want to visualize 2,000 hectares of land, it's really like
that was why I screamed and was wondering where it would have been located.
Okay, we have that amount of that kind of space for the Enugu State Industrial Park. The economic impact of it, not economic, but environmental impact, where you have so many processes going on there, productions and the rest of it. And how do you now control the environmental impact it has to the people living around there, basically?
Thank you. Yeah, so firstly, I'm happy to report that we're working in close synergy with our Ministry of Environment. As a matter of fact, we have both visited the location for unannounced visits and assessment of the location. And this is what we intend to continue, because those are the clear directions and the instructions of His Excellency, the Governor. We are not compromising on environmental standards. We make sure that for every activity, the EIA, the impact assessment, is conducted from start to finish, be it the production process, be it your waste management, be it the gas flaring, be it effluent. We make sure that all of that happens. Thankfully, the way His Excellency has also instructed that the relationship be structured, the host communities have been carried along, even from the point of acquisition of this land. That is probably why you see that everybody was there at the signing of the MOU. The three critical host communities that support this park were there. I saw
probably whose property cut across
that expanse of land. So they are involved. And of course, part of the assurance they have is that there will be no adverse environmental impact to the land or to the environment over there. It's a process that we intend to continue monitoring. So it's not that we have done it and then we leave it. No, there is still going to be continued collaboration with the state's Ministry of the Environment, the lands, of course, and trade and investments. So we are committed to the instructions and directives of His Excellency in this regard.
Okay. Honorable Commissioner, I know you are answering for everyone who is involved, all the ministries who is involved, but for clarity, I know you also mentioned the Ministry of Environment. In fact, you were, extensive with what much the ministry is going to do. And you also did not tell us anything about the commissioner, that's the ministry rather, of commerce, who I would want to, which ministry I would believe is handling the economic part of it, the trade. And apart from those two, and you who will have to make sure that there is a location, okay, I think that's where you come in. I don't know if there are other ministries involved in the business park, in the industrial park.
You know, the structure and the organization of governance by His Excellency is actually interwoven. Nobody operates in silos. So I mentioned trade and investment because they are definitely involved. Nobody can actually start and finish any process in silo. So you find out that, for instance, in doing the infrastructure, it's going to probably involve the Ministry of Works. Yeah. In doing the environmental impact, it's going to involve the Ministry of Environment, and then trade and investment. And then who knows? By the time we get to a point and we think that there should be probably a school there, then of course education will
there's
come.
Going to be a residential
area.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
All right. Quincy.
This is a very big park. How is it going to impact the development of small business scales?
Okay, thanks, Winsley. The structure makes room for big, medium, and small. So you find out that there will also be malls, there will also be shop outlets. Yes, so everybody plays at his level.
And the big fish won't get to swallow the
absolutely not.
fish.
Absolutely not. So everybody, if an investor thinks all he wants is a shop to sell finished products, well and good, he takes in a shop. Yeah. The other beauty of it is that the business plan is structured to make sure that a potential investor just makes an initial deposit and is at liberty to now build and start business, while the rest of the payment is structured over years. So you find out that capital is not tied up. Whether a shop, whether a mall, whether a hotel, whether a warehouse, whatever, approach to business, an investor has, there is soft landing, there is support, there is state support, of course. And we're happy to partner with the Lion Business Park because we have also seen serious commitment by the private partner. So we are very sure that it's going to be a win-win for everybody.
Okay.
The governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Mbah, is always thinking smart. We know about the smart schools, the smart type 2 healthcare centers, and at some point, smart city was mentioned. So is this going to also leverage on technology? Are we expecting a smart industrial park as well?
Definitely.
Definitely. How smart?
It can't be world class today if it's not smart. The world is already gone far in technology that you can't have your typical trade, in the local version we had it. In fact, I would have added to the basket, smart farming, which we're also doing. Even in the land administration, we have introduced a lot of technology in the GIS technology and all of that. So that is definitely coming into the business park. So you're going to find out that in terms of security, for instance, what His Excellency has done is going to also reflect in what happens at the business park. Recall that we have the Command and Control Center, which is able to view Enugu real time. So it means investors are safe. It means you can drop, your pin in front of your shop and you're sure to be there. Because I could in this context say that Dr. Peter Mbah is watching, because if you have looked at the Command and Control Center, I find out that it's really possible to see every square meter in Enugu right in there. So there will be definitely the benefits of smart technology in these shops. We're going to also go green in terms of power supply, which also impacts on the environmental question. So by the time we go green, find out that things like solar are going to be more attractive for power generation and power supply there.
We know that this is about building the economy of Enugu State from 4.4 to about 30 billion. And now, we have an exportation problem in Nigeria now, with the tariffs and the rest of it. How is this industrial park going to benefit, export-oriented manufacturing?
Yeah, it's an ongoing conversation, which was what I referenced when I mentioned His Excellency's remarks about the AFTA, like we call it, the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. Recall that this was an agreement signed by essentially all the African states, declaring the biggest free trade area in the world as at today. And His Excellency Dr. Peter Mbah called on the world to support the actualization of the terms and the spirit and the letters of that agreement. What it means, in essence, therefore, is that the market is there. By the time you are able to collapse customs issues, immigration issues, just within Africa, you will find out that we can trade here. The market is in Africa. So yes, we can still even take it beyond Africa, but there is a huge, huge market in Africa that if we're able to trade within ourselves, if we're able to, take our goods to the rest of the Western Africa, to Central, to North Africa, South Africa, you find out that you may not even be able to meet the demands of your customers.
So what's the expected timeline for the completion and full operation of the industrial park?
The industrial park is, I would say, ready for business. So what we're doing now is calling on investors to take advantage, because we expect that in the next 12 months, you might be a secondary buyer.
Oh.
Yes. In the next 12 months, you might be looking at buying from, an existing buyer. So it is something that we are saying, hurry up. Or you might end up just being a tenant, on a spot that you would have probably been the owner. So we are happy and proud to tell the Enugu that, and even the entire world, that the Lion Business Park is ready for business. I'm happy to take, investors and potential investors on a guided tour of the facilities at any time.
Now, still on that, I would like to find out what the criteria will be. What are the requirements? Who should go for it? Who should actually think in that direction? And how can they go about it?
The operations of the park are, of course, driven by the Lion Business Park, which is already an incorporated entity. The state is a partner who, of course, is there to provide the support, the assurance, and of course the infrastructure for the business to run. So in that context, everybody can be seen as an investor. So for whatever business, be it service, be it production, be it manufacturing, and like I just added, be it residentials, we encourage such operators, such investors to come in. Recall that means even as a developer, you can take up the residential area and decide to build based on the plan. It of course means you could build to sell, or build to lease, or build to rent. So there is really room for every player.
In terms of security, what are the laid out plans for it? People are going to be living in this park, and you know how rough, in quotes, areas like this can get. What are the laid down plans for security?
I think the days of rough areas are gone as far as Enugu is concerned today. Recall that on assumption of office, one of the first actions His Excellency the Governor Dr. Mba took was declaring an end to the so-called Monday sit at home at the time. And today is Monday. We hardly remember. Flashback 2 years before now, we wouldn't have been here today. So that has also reflected in our security architecture generally. So what it means today is that there's 100% assurance that the state is safe. We have, like I said, we have also deployed technology to ensure that there is 24-hour monitoring of the facility. The ground troops are there, the DRS team are there to monitor what happens there. And that tells you that, I'm sure you know that even the DRS team are working with vehicles and equipment that are AI enabled, that are able to actually, mirror what is happening at the command and control center. So security is guaranteed in this location.
Okay.
You're the commissioner for land, and land is one important piece of this whole issue. You think there will be further need for expansion of the park? I know you have mind-blowing hectares of land there, but do you foresee expansion?
The drive, the instruction and the mandate of His Excellency are clear that we anticipate expansion or spill, soon. And what His Excellency has done is to also create an industrial corridor, a 20,000 hectares industrial corridor that runs on the highway all the way through Eziagu, Udi into Oji River. So for any spill in the future, there is already an industrial corridor, which is of course the highway taking you to Onitsha, to Asaba, to the mid. So that also creates those arteries, those linkages that would enhance the business of investors. So there is the expectation of a spill,
Expansion.
and there is of course already preparation for that.
All right, before we let you go, Honorable Commissioner, can you let us in on some of the latest development in urban development in Enugu State? That is also part of your assignment.
Thank you very much, Ngozi. I guess that's actually the primary assignment. And of course, I'm happy to report that today in Enugu, His Excellency, the Governor, has declared about 9 of the 17 local governments as urban areas.
You mind naming them?
Wow. Okay. So I will take it from even the capital territory like we know it. Of course, that's Enugu South, Enugu North, and Enugu East local governments. Then His Excellency has declared Udi, Nkano West, Nkano East, Nsukka as full urban areas, as well as Oji River local government.
And you see that as achievable? Turning these other areas other than the metropolis,
Yes.
East, Enugu South, East, and North,
Yes.
turning the rest to look like Enugu metropolis.
Absolutely,
it's
not
achievable.
just achievable. We're already pushing with the basics. The infrastructure build-up is already going on in these locations. I mean, like today, I have had to visit some locations, at Udi, at Nkano East, and then last week I was at Oji River at the Economic Summit, and you find out that there is so much excitement at this declaration, and you find out that both the Enugu and investors coming out from outside Enugu are excited at the implications. Because what we see now is that His Excellency is better able to drive development in these locations. What he doesn't want is where parts of Enugu are springing up as slums. Because that's the danger when you allow a place to develop without plan. But having declared them urban, it gives us the responsibility to plan these locations and to guide their development. If we anticipate that there should be a dual carriage, for instance, cutting from one end of that, let's say, Oji River through Udi, through Nkanu West, we plan it. We don't wait for that time when you have to now go and start maybe taking out houses already built up and all that. If there are locations that are going to be designated for industrial purposes, like what we have just done at Eziago with the industrial park, we'll do it. We'll plan it. If we need to do acquisitions, do compensations to those that their lands are affected, we take care of all that. We don't wait until it looks almost like a tall order. When you see a built-up area, that could be quite difficult. So in his typical visionary approach to leadership, His Excellency has taken this bold step, which, as a matter of fact, is consistent with the Land Use Act, because the law gives him that responsibility to periodically assess the entire state and determine and designate areas as urban. That is just one. And I'm also excited to speak about our approach to the geographic information systems, which again tries to put our entire lands ecosystem in a digital and digitalized form. It means we are gradually downgrading the paperworks and taking our processes to the digital platform. It gives more assurance to your investors. It also makes it easier in terms of the mapping and the planning of these locations.
Certainly there are challenges. There's no noble act that does not face hiccups.
Yes, there are challenges, but I would say that the chunk, maybe 99% of these challenges were also identified at planning. If you also look at the statement of purpose, which His Excellency presented to the Enugu as his manifesto, it identified potential challenges. So His Excellency took time to actually plan. This is where we're heading. These are potential challenges, and these are our most likely, initiatives to also avert these challenges. So sometimes it may require having backups for your plans. Sometimes it may require having buffers. Sometimes it may require having strategic engagement with stakeholders. Of course, we know how land, for instance, can be quite topical and contentious. So His Excellency would always instruct us, engage. It's not enough to have the best of plans or ideas. If it is not sold and bought, the people may not even be excited. Like with the Lion Business Park, you find out that because under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. Peter Mba, we were able to engage sufficiently. The communities were excited. And
there are no litigations?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Everybody is happy to key into the process. All interests are protected, and the business park is running.
All right. I think on that note, we conclude this conversation. We appreciate your very resourceful contribution to the discourse this evening. Thank you very much, Barrister Chima Okorie.
Thank you so much.
Leslie. Thank you, Queensley.
Highlighting the benefits of Enugu State Industrial Park was the subject matter, where we looked at the many benefits of having an industrial park, a free trade zone, with all of the other benefits mentioned.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.